Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah. I hear him chat from the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go out, man, forget my peace. You take the west side, take on the east. I'ma put them in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Not so tough, but minds keep walking, yeah. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome, yeah. Hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
You know how when I come in here dressed as Elvis or the Mad Hatter and then get dispirited or hurt because everyone says, Dan, that's a good look for you. You should try that. It's better than your actual look. Roy, I'm not kidding you when I tell you that this look from the Bear for you is better than your other look. Like, this is, you look better, you look better this way than you do every other day.
Yes, Chef.
I don't think anybody here would disagree with me.
Roy is getting that Jeremy Allen White sort of like aura of he's a working man and is sexy.
This dude, man, he's on every single bus stop billboard in New York City wearing only the skimpiest of underwear.
He's very small, too. He's not an actually large man, but that's the six-pack. The six-pack is showing that off. Roy, this is what I imagined you looked like when you worked on the loading dock.
Yes.
Yes, Chef.
I've gotten a text here from Stugotz. Half of our team is out there. Charlotte was supposed to be here with us today. I hope she gets better. She got the COVID. Pablo Torre is here.
HIPAA violation much?
HIPAA.
Just say she's under the weather.
Amin is here. Thank you for gracefully holding my hand during that instead of pointing it out to everybody. A text from Stugotz here from Radio Row yesterday to tell everyone that he's deeply embedded. This is yesterday, a Sunday. Dan, I have the entire place wired. Espresso shots with the security team today on me. Pictures with producers and engineers who were setting up today, telling them that their hosts don't know or appreciate what it is they do. I have an army of people willing to do more for me than their own hosts and shows. That's why you get a lay of the land, Levitts. Tomorrow is all about laying down the foundation. Tuesday and Wednesday, moving and shaking with tons of finger guns and nods and no blinking. Thursday is a dig deep, finish strong Thursday. I could teach a course on how to do Radio Row. Tony, are you jealous that Stugotz is already there?
I'm very jealous. I'd like to get the lay of the land, too, because when I was there in L.A., there's a lot of moving and shaking happening early, too, and that's why Stu's there to lay the foundation. You got to know the right people. You're getting in the ground floor with the workers, with the producers. Those kind of people, they're the salt of the earth that make things happen.
Roy is so Apple-averse that he brought a laptop in, and it's like a ThinkPad. This is like a heavy-duty thing. And with his general aesthetic, it goes hand in hand because he's frustrated trying to make this desktop computer work. It's great. He looks like Samuel L. Jackson in Jurassic Park.
Yes, Chef. It is a ThinkPad.
Roy, what do you have to report from your visit as a correspondent to Toronto and the NHL All-Star Game? What is the content that we're going to have around here?
Yes, Chef. There is a video that we are going to play back later in the show. Is about us going around town in Toronto. It was a beautiful city. Spectacular food, and we had drinks, and my dry January.
Okay,
definitely
so nothing about sports, nothing about the All-Star Game, nothing. Just go. All right, so you enjoyed the city and you ate and you drank.
Dan, we did post-game shows on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So there's that. You can find that on YouTube.
Now, the cigarette in the ear is a really good look. Generally, people don't have a lit cigarette in the ear.
Yes, Chef.
I know that's a fake cigarette, but it has a light inside of it that has it orange, so it would give the appearance that it's a lit cigarette that's just hanging from your ear.
Yes, chef. I didn't actually look at the cigarettes. I just put it in the on the air, just like LeBron James in that meme on Twitter.
We are going to talk about the Super Bowl and our Super Bowl coverage. We are headed out, the rest of us, on Tuesday, tomorrow, and we will tell you about the guest list that is so far confirmed because we're excited about how funny and wonderful that is. But before we do so, when we went off the air yesterday, I don't know how often this happens to you, Pablo, where you get a celebrity death that sort of hits you a little extra hard because it ties into whatever it is that your nostalgia was in childhood about somebody. And Carl Weathers, who passed away last week at the age of 76, felt like he had that kind of impact on a lot of people across a lot of different roles.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. I think one generation might know him as Apollo Creed, but another generation might know him as Chubbs, right?
Oh, and Arrested Development and The Mandalorian. Like, he, as a person with good polling numbers, Carl Weathers universally was beloved. I think he's just one of those guys who feels like you have a. I mean, you guys interviewed him on the show. He was down to laugh at himself and also to be exactly the archetype of like tough guy when it was needed.
An amazing talent. When you think about it, this guy was an NFL player. He's a football player, played in the CFL and the NFL, and then made himself into not only an action star, but an actual actor with chops, with range, with a variety of roles, as you pointed out. And the thing that I take away from, we could do a whole show on Carl Weathers, and we might. Stay tuned. But I saw him at Star Wars Celebration, which is like the Comic-Con for Star Wars, when they first announced The Mandalorian, right? And this is the most insular crowd. When you talk about like people who are fiercely aligned with the brand of the content, Star Wars is probably peak. And they all come out. Pedro Pascal comes out, and Gina Carano comes out, and all these other actors and people of note. They've done things in other places. This isn't their first time at the rodeo. They come out and say, "What a great honor it is to be here at Star Wars Celebration and be a part of Star Wars and all that." And then Carl Weathers comes out, and he's regal when he comes out on the stage, and he takes a moment to acknowledge the crowd, and the crowd roars, and he gets the microphone and he said, "I wasn't really a Star Wars guy," which. For that crowd, that's it. They check out on you. But he says, but then I fell in love with this role and this story, and I can't wait for you guys to get a chance to experience this. He sold the show so hard, no one had even seen a second of it. We didn't know what it was about. He sold it in that second right there, and the audience was eating out the palm of his hand. And I sat there, Dan, and I said, that's a pro. Like, Pedro Pascal's a great actor. He's not on the pro level as Carl Weathers.
It's a gift to be somebody who projects a certain seriousness, a gravitas, while also not taking themselves seriously. Mm-hmm. So part of the bit in Arrested Development, which I go to immediately, is that he is Tobias's acting teacher.
Yep.
Who is the cheapest man alive?
Ooh, he's borderline homeless.
Right. So he's
destitute.
And so he's like making stews out of leftovers. He's always carrying stuff out of other events, like he's stealing the food. And what I read over the weekend as I was reliving Carl Weathers' greatest hits is that he is the one who came up with that character premise.
Yeah.
Of
it wasn't written cheap, right?
No, it was me, Carl Weathers, actor who you know. I'm going to be a basically effectively unhoused acting teacher, making fun of myself while also being almost Shakespearean in a way, which is that thing of laugh at yourself while also being fully confident in who you are is the best.
I think one of the things that is super hard to achieve anywhere in celebrity, especially as people get more and more upset by the politics of Hollywood and celebrities, is it's just hard to find likable somebody who lands
Yes.
all the time, the skill of likability that is, it is not polarizing, that it feels extra hard when someone like that is lost, because we're so divided now that you crave people who are likable, who aren't polarizing.
The thing that got me, first of all, you're absolutely right, because there's a natural likability, which I think Carl Weathers had, but his was also polished. This student figured out, okay, I'm likable, but how do I sharpen this? And he did it at an incredible level. But the thing that really, I don't know if anyone else felt this. On the one hand, I'm happy that he passed peacefully in his sleep. I'm happy that that's how we all want to go, right? On the other hand, I was staggered that Carl Weathers, this man full of energy and life and strength, that's how, like, when I heard Carl Weathers pass away, I said, oh no, was it a car accident?
Was he in a swamp being hunted by perhaps alien assassin?
Was it a Soviet boxer who would not stop fighting after the bell was rung and the ref tried to get in the way?
Or Craig T. Nelson.
Or was it Craig? Well, no, Craig T. Nelson couldn't take him out.
No.
Shout out to Action Jackson. But to hear that he passed away in his sleep, I was like, wait, was there a disease that we didn't know? Like, nope, just passed away in his sleep. I just saw him in the Gronk ad for the Kick of Destiny. And I'm like, no, he looks fine. What are you talking about?
Well, not just fine, looks fit,
Powerful.
looks youthful.
Energy, yeah.
Let's play the video of Sylvester Stallone, obviously linked to Apollo Creed and Carl Weathers forever.
Hello, everyone. Today is an incredibly sad day for me. I mean, I'm so torn up, I can't even tell you. I'm just trying to hold it in because Carl Weathers was such an integral part of my life, my success, everything about it. I give him incredible credit and kudos because when he walked into that room and I saw him for the first time, I saw greatness, but I didn't realize how great. I never could have accomplished what we did with Rocky without him. He was absolutely brilliant. His voice, his size, his power, his athletic ability, but more importantly, his heart, his soul. It's a horrible loss.
That is the role that I will associate him with. Do you guys have any other role that you choose above that one? Because that was so, I think that might have been the first sports movie of any kind that I saw. Because it was, 1976 would have been Rocky? And I don't think I had seen before that anything that looked like that on film.
No, it set the archetype that he then played to perfection in various other movies, but then he subverted. And so I go back to that one also as my introduction to him, but also as like, this is the thing that he played off of to surprise you and delight you when he had this softness inside of him.
He's got 3 tremendous roles that were integrated within the fiber of pop culture at the time, be it Dylan from Predator and the handshake that has become a meme forevermore. Apollo Creed is his role, and he owned it, and you can't imagine anybody else playing it, and you can't imagine that movie or franchise working without his involvement. And Chubbs Peterson in Happy Gilmore is another iconic role. He's got 3 all-timers.
Speaking of likability, right, we talked to him once, and he disarmed us immediately with what it is you guys are talking about, which is not taking himself terribly seriously. So when we asked him for resume and accolades, we were surprised by his answer. Have you ever had a greater honor anywhere in your personal life or professional life, any honor in your life, all 69 of your years on Earth, than being inducted into the International Mustache Hall of Fame?
No, there's no bigger honor.
Right.
Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys with stashes know there's no bigger honor.
Who are your rivals? Like, who are your fellow Hall of Famers where you look at it and you say, yes, it is you are worthy of being near my glorious mustache?
Oh, are you kidding me? Charlie Bronson, man. Look back at Charlie's little wispy, crazy-looking mustache. Charlie wore it well. I loved him. Got a chance to work with him. Great guy, man. Charles Bronson was, there was a man's man.
Who are your? I'm going to offer you some here. Tom Selleck, first ballot Hall of Famer on the mustache. Yes or no, according to Hall of Famer Carl Weathers. Yes or no?
First ballot, without a doubt.
Raleigh Fingers, first ballot. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Raleigh Fingers, my God, going back to the old twisted like handlebar, you got to put him in there.
All right.
Come on, man.
All right. Who else are some mustache Hall of Famers? Charlie Chaplin. Who else? Charlie Chaplin. Yes or no?
Oh yeah. Charlie Chaplin had, he had that little thing that reminded you of who's mustache, right? Yeah,
Ned Flanders. Ned Flanders from The Simpsons. Yes or no? Ned Flanders.
That's a shaky one.
Okay,
there.
that's fine. That rejected by the Hall of Famer. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
Yes or no? Hulk Hogan.
Well, that's a crazy mustache there. That thing goes on forever. You got to throw him in there.
All right. Goose Gossage. Yes or no? Goose Gossage.
Yes, I'll go with that.
Hall of Fame. Dave Wanstead.
Yeah.
Dave Wanstache. Yes or no? Dave Wanstache. All right. Okay. Burt Reynolds. Yes or no? Burt Reynolds.
Oh, come on, man. Burt was like the original, so he's got to be in.
All right. Geraldo Rivera. Yes or no? Geraldo Rivera.
That mustache is so off the wall. You just got to put him in there because of that.
Sam Elliott. Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely. Completely.
Wow. You are a generous Hall of Famer. Is there any? We wasted 2 minutes of that man.
I would have listened to 40 more minutes of him just responding to mustache props.
When you have a guest who gets the show who has never listened to the show, that's always the best, isn't it? Like this guy, he doesn't know what we do here. He's like, oh, some ESPN sports show wanted to interview me. Sure. Why not?
But this is what we talk about when we talk about likability. I don't know how you measure these things, but I know that whenever the famous people come on with us and they just sound like they want to be there, which doesn't always happen. They just sound like this is the place where they want to be, even if they don't know us. That buys them a ton. Mike, I want to ask you, as we've got a fractured group and we're going to be doing this differently this week, what do you want to tell the audience? Because we have guest list planned, and we have what we're doing this week has been planned for months. It is not a small undertaking. We are taking almost the entire company out to Las Vegas. Half of it is already there. What can we tell people, and what do we want to keep quiet?
Well, I don't think we want to keep anything quiet. It's usually in the show's nature to have some surprises along the way, but look, this is a big investment for the company, and the idea here is audience acquisition and growth, and we want to make Stadium Swim at Circa Hotel an absolute scene, and the RSVP situation is encouraging for an absolute scene. Naturally, more people are going to the Friday show. I want to talk a little bit about Thursday and give you a reason to show up, because the guest list on Thursday is incredible. I'm not going to give away the person that's going to kick off all the ceremonies, but our featured guest list for Thursday at Stadium Swim at Circa Hotel is Wu-Tang Clan.
What?
And Wayne Newton. That's right. We're bringing back the old dirty bastard.
There it is.
And also
and Wu-Tang Clan. I think presently we're at 24 of the 36 chambers, but when you include the old dirty bastard, we're at 28.
I'm not going to be there, so I only have one request for you guys. I need you guys to get Wayne Newton to say, shimmy, shimmy, y'all, shimmy, yeah, shimmy, yeah. Give me the mic so I can take it away.
That's a great idea, Amin. We're going to try everything that we can, and the photo ops are going to be incredible out there. We're producing a live stage show, and this should be really fun for those in attendance. It's a mini Las Vegas. There's going to be plenty of stuff going on in the crowd, and the layout for Stadium Swim is incredible. So there's still plenty of time. I'm talking to Chiefs Kingdom and 49er Faithful here. If you want to rep your team, come out to this really cool event, Stadium Swim at Circa Hotel, February 8th and 9th. Things get going at 10 a.m. Line up early. It doesn't have to be a ridiculous amount of early. I've seen Caitlin Clark type cues being talked about on the internet. Everyone will have a spot over there, but come on out. Reserve your tickets right now. It's absolutely free. CircaLasVegas.com/Le Batard.
So do we want to broaden our constituency and our base by promoting this? Is come out and see the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz and the Clan?
I could see when you were revving up that this was going to be a bad joke.
Why can't we get Wayne Newton to sing Donka Shane with Wu-Tang?
No, because that might be for Greg Cody.
You get okay.
Without revealing too much.
Well, now I feel like I'm starting to encroach.
There's going to be some live entertainment. Even though there's content that needs to go out, we're going to entertain you during what are pseudo breaks over there. And sometimes what's going on during our breaks is going to be more fun than what's happening on the stage.
Dan is treading perilously close, mentioning Danke Shane and the Clan to he who shall not be named, as Carl Weathers had dubbed him.
He was talking about Michael Jordan there, I thought. The mustache
100%.
of Michael Jordan. You mentioned Caitlin Clark and the lines for Caitlin Clark. I want to put up for the people on video here. This was at Maryland. This is not an Iowa basketball game. I was wondering where I would place her right now in terms of marketing, star power, economy, of being able to fill arenas wherever it is she goes, where in sports I would go to put her on a list of most marketable brands right now. She is going to be making more money in college than she can make in the pros on NIL. And I'm just floored by the star power. Every time she shows up someplace, the lines are like that. The lines are like when Steph Curry and the Warriors are showing up someplace.
Well, two things are happening in the NIL conversation. There's like an empirical, like there's a question as to who in the pros will pay the way that Iowa boosters are paying, and that's a conversation maybe we should have also. But this is one of those stories where what she's doing is cool no matter what gender is the sport that we're talking about.
Nobody mentioned gender until you did right now.
Well, because you have to, because despite that fact, and it's awesome, like she is compulsively watchable. To me, Caitlin Clark's on television, top 5. I want to stop and watch that.
Well, she shoots from, she comes out in that game and she's shooting from 40 feet.
And it's badass. It's not just that. She's doing it with an arrogance that does remind me of Steph, but it's also impossible to extract from that or to isolate in that the idea that because she is a woman, there is this extra novelty that people just want to see. Like it's a circus act. Like we've never seen something like this before. And I think those two things are happening simultaneously.
It's a circus act and it's also / pioneering, right? Because what you're seeing there is it's not just that greatness is bringing them to the arena. It's that women's sports don't often get to feel like that. Like she's leading a charge, right? I understand that the WNBA and college basketball have been growing, but now you mix the fervor around college basketball with her fame, her stardom, and her style of play. And what you end up getting is a spectacle. It's not merely a sporting event anymore. There's a sporting kind of fame, but then there's a spectacle of I have to be in attendance to witness this. It feels a bit like Messi's going to play in Miami or LeBron's going to play this weekend in New York. I have to go and be a part of something that is beyond sports. It's bigger than sports.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever seen a needle mover quite like her. And Angel Reese, I think you can lump her in too, because if you see the television ratings, it would suggest she's also quite the needle mover in the history of women's basketball in this country, both pro and amateur. I don't think we've ever seen needle movers like that.
I mean, with Caitlin Clark, what's so spectacular is she's sort of capitalizing off what you just mentioned, Dan, which is the last couple of decades of the growth of this sport, where we've seen that from a team perspective. First, it was UConn and their dominance. Now the last 5 to 10 years and all of these other powers of teams that we've looked at, while there's been individual players, but now with both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and their sort of polarizing rivalry that we get to create on the marketing side, what I'm fascinated to see too is, you mentioned her getting paid in NIL. That marketing can and will still exist when she gets to the pro level, because now with the way that the WNBA has grown and the story building that exists around that league, seeing both her and Angel Reese get to that pro level and get to create maybe their own sort of version of a Magic and Bird rivalry is going to be fascinating for years to come as well.
Oh, but let me tell you the coolest part for me, because this part I couldn't have imagined at any point in my career before now. Men's college basketball doesn't have that.
No.
It doesn't. They're one and done. Duke had it a couple of years ago when Zion was on that team.
It is getting a little bit better now in the men's game.
Fine, but it's not
people
that.
stick around.
It's not that. It's not somebody who's been there. It's not someone who's been there for several years to build something around the fervor that is college sports.
Character development.
Forget about character development. Give me the one and done name in college basketball right now.
Yeah.
Who's the guy?
No, it's a bad draft.
Yeah, people
It's a
that
really
are
bad
prospects
draft
that
coming up.
that are in that late first round range, they end up coming back. But we've never seen, even in the men's game, someone with these kind of pro prospects willingly come back to the collegiate sport and grow that game. It hasn't been like, when's the last time a pro basketball did that? Tim Duncan?
Joakim Noah.
Very true.
I mean, that's a long time ago.
I know. Well, the math is different.
Kornheiser used to do this during the breaks at ESPN Radio, during the commercial breaks at the start of the internet, where he would talk privately to the audience away from what was the commercial air of what they were doing. And I'm telling the people watching this and listening to this right now, if you don't go to what is being planned in Vegas, if you can go and don't go, you're really going to regret it. Like, if you're gonna get some major fucking FOMO if you're watching on what we're doing and you do not, you were gonna go and then you didn't go. You need.
I like that Dan is just threatening people.
It's a promise.
I'm not threatening. You're just going to regret it.
I'm lovingly warning them of something they can avoid if they'd like to avoid it. It is not a threat. I'm just telling them that that's what's going to happen. If they miss it, they're going to regret it.
that you might like to hear. You had a nice career, but the end looking sad. Mind if I tell you about this plan I had? My home's been gaining on me way too fast. Surely as a coach that you should get past. I can play at least another year or two. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm calling up Woody and we're going to the Jets. Twice a year we could beat the Patriots. We're kicking both Salah and Aaron to the curb. I'm calling up Gronk and we're flipping up the bird. Never really wanted Greg Olsen's spot. Wanted him to know how much cash I got. You needed me, Bill. I'll always be the boss. After we're done, you can coach lacrosse. You better listen up. You better listen up. To recap, we're gonna partner up. We're gonna partner up. Hey, Bill, you better listen up. You better listen up. To recap, we're gonna partner up. We're gonna partner up. Like bam, 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 bam.
Roy and Mike Ryan came in here today with a little extra spring in their step. I don't know if Mean and Pablo have been at this so long that their allegiances and their fandoms are not affected by news that comes out. But Sam Reinhart and the idea that the Florida Panthers can now afford him when you guys thought he was gone. You guys thought the first month of this season that he was playing too well to be affordable. The idea that you guys now feel like he's going to be a part of this team, I saw palpable positivity and happiness on Roy that I haven't seen in a long time.
Yes, Chef.
Well, you say it's not like something magically happened where all of a sudden the Florida Panthers have more money. They're kind of capped. It's in that. It's certainly below $10 million. Certainly below what Sam Reinhart would get in the open market. Presently, Sam Reinhart sits at 37 goals. That is second to Austin Matthews in the entire NHL. He sits at 40. Sam Reinhart has 20 power play goals. That's more than a lot of teams have. Sam Reinhart has turned himself into a player that gets, $11 million in that neighborhood. But I've spoken to sources at the Florida Panthers, and Sam Reinhart's quotes have been promising about we want to make a deal happen because he's had this whole career resurgence down here in Florida. Again, he came into the league as a highly touted prospect, didn't quite live up to that, and made some great key contributions during his time here in Florida. But now he's just totally blasted off into the stratosphere in playing on that line next to Barkov, and he has this insane output. The Panthers are encouraged with some of the dialogue that they had in being able to. Here's a Panthers pitch, and it's not unlike something that Pat Riley's done in the past. You operate here in the state of Florida. Some of the other people that are going to be in on you have insane state tax. Look, Canada. Incredible amounts of your wages are going to be
It's the greatest
kept.
Advantage the Miami Heat have.
Yes.
No state income tax.
Yes, and you also, for the first time in this franchise's existence, you can sell, hey, we're really close. We're building something special. There is a younger nucleus here. You have Matthew Tkachuk locked in for a very long time over here. If you want to win the cup, and that is every hockey player's dream, this is the best place to do it, and we can fit you inside this number. Sam Reinhart gave some very encouraging quotes to all the press that descended, including Roy, into Toronto for the NHL All-Star Game, and it seems as though both parties are in agreement. Let's wait till this offseason so we can maximize that dollar, but the pool isn't going to get any smaller for Sam Reinhart. I'm encouraged, and it seems like they're going to be bringing him back improbably.
Yeah, he takes this discount, and they could work the trade deadline to bring in a rental so they can actually go deep into the playoffs. So this is very encouraging.
Do you guys have any allegiances that you get moved by somebody taking the finances down in order to stay with your team, or is that part of you now died as sports fans because you've been working in this industry too long?
I was really excited when Apollo took the exhibition match against Drago, but then I was pretty upset with the result.
This doesn't happen often in this sport. I guess there's a fairly recent example of someone like Jonathan Marchessault who had this career. You kind of had an idea of who they were, and then they just blow up into becoming one of the highest point getters in the league. It's a fascinating thing that's happened with Sam Reinhart. You don't usually have this evolution in one's career this late in the game.
But the thing about the hometown discount also is that it actually is you talk about the big advantages that a team could have. Instilling enough affection in your employees such that they take less than what they could get otherwise. Tom Brady did this. Tim Duncan did this. And as much as we talk very aspirationally about player power, there is no question that even the most player power people have to admit that this is such an enormous thing that helps you win. I don't know of a bigger edge you can have than your best player wants to make less money.
That may well be, but I say this to every young player who's about to get paid. You don't give up the discount until after you've got that huge deal. Tom Brady could do that because I made the money, and now this is just incremental money.
For Sam Reinhart, it would be ballsy because he's 28 years old. You didn't see this type of season coming. Capitalize on this season, maximize your dollar, and be locked in on that wage, those wages for several years.
He's currently on a 3-year, roughly $20 million deal that's going to expire this offseason, right? Prior to that, his entry-level contract was 3 years, $10 million. So it's like, yeah, $30 million, that's good money. But it's like, this is your opportunity to cash the F out. And then after you've done that, now you can come back and say hometown discounts and all that.
I will
stuff.
say, so for the audience that doesn't know necessarily, this part matters too. Many of these players love how anonymous they get to be in the Fort Lauderdale sunshine, playing games where it doesn't feel like Canada, but it feels enough like Canada on the Hollywood boardwalk where people are still walking around with sandals and socks, but it's warm. And the anonymity that they are afforded here, where they can go elsewhere where they care about hockey differently and live in Fort Lauderdale, it is not a small thing.
Yeah, it's not just Canada. There are certain hockey towns. Like if Kucherov goes out to dinner in Tampa, he's going to get noticed. Mitch Marner can't go out in Toronto. Sam Reinhart can probably go weeks without being recognized in Broward. It is actually something that you could sell these players.
Yeah, him, Anthony Duclair, and Sergei Bobrovsky was on the flight coming back from Toronto, same flight as I was on. They really didn't get recognized in the airport.
By the way, which is awesome. So the whole Taylor Swift thing, I've been thinking about, what is the ideal optimal level of fame?
Oh, one of my favorite conversations.
So Taylor Swift has a stalker among all of the other indicators of her fame. She has at least one stalker who keeps on like going to jail, then being let out and going to her house in New York City.
Real love.
Just won't stop. And obviously that's okay. We can all agree we don't actually want to be as famous as Taylor Swift, but it now brings us back to like the Mike Trout conversation of like, I actually think Mike Trout has it right. He matters, as Dan was saying, he matters in all of the rooms that he actually professionally cares about, but otherwise can be like eating a sandwich on a bench, smeared his face with mayonnaise, and like no one's going to take a photo of him because he's just some guy.
The optimal level of fame is the amount of fame that gets you a reservation at a restaurant and a free drink at a bar, but never hounded by anyone while you're doing it. That's the level of fame you want to get to.
Kornheiser argues on behalf of the radio show by saying that it is the greatest power to have because it's the power to get the table at the restaurant you want and to destroy your enemies. I would argue, though, on behalf of this level of crappy fame.
Us?
The level of
It's pretty
crappy
good.
fame that
It's
gets
pretty
you
good.
gets you a nice amount of appreciation that makes you feel somewhat relevant, and also one of the great benefits I will say of fame is that I can simply text my doctors. That I don't have to. I could go straight to them,
Provided that you give them like a little back and forth on Tua.
Oh man,
That's right.
Of course,
Yes,
that's
of course.
You got to give them a little
that's the
something.
cost of admission.
So they can go into the workroom and be like, yeah, I was texting with Le Batard the other day. He says, trust in Tua, but don't pay him.
Mike, I'm telling you, that's the cost of admission. It's like when I go to Vegas and I go and there's like a security guy who's like, sees me. Guess what? That guy gets 15 minutes of show. Whatever you want to talk about, I'll give him a bit everything.
Finger guns?
I'll do
Finger
the whole
guns and
thing.
jazz hands, baby.
Now, if you're just some guy walking to the casino, like, hey, Amin, like, hey, how's it going? And then you get one question. You get one question.
I bet you Tony's great at that.
The one
I
question.
always give time to people that recognize me because, again, I am the shittier of the shittier people in here as far as celebrity is concerned.
I thought you just meant generally.
Well, sure, but
Put it on the poll, Juju. Is Tony the shittiest of the shittier people?
thank you. But whenever I get recognized or somebody comes up to me, I'll give them 5 or 10 minutes of my time.
No, too many minutes. Too
Yeah,
many minutes.
yeah, but I mean, you're higher on the or lower on the totem pole depending on how you think of it. But you're whatever on the totem pole more than I am. So for me, it's like this person took their time to say, "Hey, Tony, I love you on the show, man. You represent us." For me, that's one of the highest compliments that I can receive.
I have a move now. I will immediately ask for their name.
Oh no, that's
I will file it away. End of the conversation. I say their name back.
at the end.
That's
And
so
we are
insincere.
bonded for life.
Yeah, but
No,
it's
pro
that's-
move.
It's fake. Look, he's just telling you it's a move.
Just gave away the
No.
secret.
He's telling
It's
you
a
it's
pro
a move.
move.
He's
No.
doing that for everybody.
No, it's respect. It's hey, what's your name?
What's
Buddy,
your-
thank
Thank
you
you.
so much,
He
Brandon.
just-
I'll
Thank
see
you,
you later,
Tony.
bud. Thank you.
It is respect if he never admits it. Now it's something he gives everybody. He is a respect whore. It's insincere respect.
Put that on the poll. Can you be a respect whore?
gives
I just
it
think
to-
that's being respectful.
You can't, but you're giving it to everybody. It's not special. It's not monogamous. It's everybody.
That's the point of
That's
respect.
You're giving it to everybody. It doesn't make them feel special that you're knowing their name because it's your move. It's a pickup line. It's a pickup line. It's I wish I could change the alphabet so I could put the U and I together. No, it's a line.
Ooh, this guy's used that
It's
before.
a move. Get out of here. What is that? You don't admit that. You admit that whispered in private.
How much does a polar bear weigh? Enough to make the ice break. How's it going? Amino Hassett. Nice to meet you.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Still a student of mystery. The floss before or after you brush line. It's killer. Me and my friends need a debate settled.
It's a towel one.
Thank you, mystery.
That's the last time you washed your towel.
Thank you, mystery.
I was more of a Toro guy.
That has not been said
Matador.
in a long
Matador.
time.
Sorry. Racially profiled Matador.
I am a big fan of Run the Jewels, and there are not a lot of hip-hop people or musicians of any kind, really, who have had the late career power that Killer Mike has had, where you become somebody in your 40s in hip-hop, somebody who's hugely relevant, somebody whose voice I like to hear on issues, who's just strong in a lot of different ways. And last night, he crushed it. He crushes the Grammys. He ends up winning 3 awards. He goes up on stage and says it's a sweep because he's at the top of the game. And then immediately gets arrested. And the video is of him being let off in handcuffs. And I've been looking for comments from him this morning and have not seen yet the comments. But they told me that this was a citizen's arrest, that these aren't even police officers, that this is a...
Security?
That this is...
So it preceded, the citizen's arrest maybe preceded the actual police officers who came once he was apprehended?
Are these actual police officers? Because there is uniformed personnel, but if you look at the uniforms, I don't know what the LA
You might be right,
metropolitan area uniforms look like, but those look like costumes.
And it would, I would assume, ruin one of the greatest nights of his life. Over a misdemeanor charge, I still don't know what it is that happened. I think under these circumstances, this is someone that you can let go and circle back around and not ruin the best night or one of the best nights of his life.
So how do you execute a citizen's arrest at the Grammys, though?
Wasn't it nearby, though? It wasn't at the Grammys.
So-
it was like around the Grammys.
This
wasn't
is
it?
from The Hollywood Reporter. LAPD spokesperson told Hollywood Reporter that, quote, an individual was detained at Crypto.com Arena for a physical altercation and is currently being questioned.
So bumps into somebody. He's a sizable human being, and then he is led away by people we're still not sure are police officers.
Well, I mean, the LAPD is not going to comment on it. Like, yeah, some rent-a-cops did it, but
I know, but the video we were just watching, we are still not sure that those are police
He
officers.
does have old school Bookham Dano handcuffs as opposed to like the zip ties of the modern day.
And I would like to hear more information on this. I would like to hear from him on this. But given his activism, I did actually wonder. Now, these details seem to undermine the point I'm about to make. But given his activism, I thought to myself, I wonder if he would want the clout that would come from having the polarizing scandal that puts him in the middle of ruining his best night, because then he can talk about all the stuff he's been talking about in Atlanta, trying to bring peace between black people and police officers because of his voice is a powerful one politically. I think he was on Bill Maher last week.
Powerful but complicated, right? Like that's the
Agreed.
thing about Killer Mike is that Killer Mike was just going viral for not endorsing Joe Biden, presented with the choice between Biden and Trump, which is, your mileage varies on that position and why. The way that he has become a cause for all sides of this in different ways is what speaks to his complication. There are, of course, the conspiracies now of, this is happening because he refused to endorse Biden. But others might point out, and I think it's probably even more logical to do so, that if you're going to pick a conspiracy, don't pick that one. I don't think that's what's happening here. His other stances may, in fact, be more plausible, even though none of it really is plausible.
I would love to see the scenario in which Joe Biden wakes up one morning. We didn't get what? Folks, here's what we're going to do. I don't think that's the top of his agendas.
I would say there are not a lot of stronger voices in hip hop. Just in terms of power of voice, getting in front of people and speaking about things that
I just think you're looking at that through your prism, and I understand why you would think Killer Mike is one of the more important voices, and I think I skew closer to that, but many in our audience would say Playboy Cardi is way more important, or, it's just it's of a different era, and that's part of what goes on with Killer Mike is that he had this whole second half of his career where he was prodigious and he was featured with Outkast, and it never quite happened with him. And then with Run the Jewels, he gets this latent career, immense success, and now as a solo artist, he's sweeping Grammys.
I just want to point out you guys are missing the most important part. Can we run the video again? The most important part, first of all, there's a couple of things. Number one, there's a guy that looks like Cornbread Maxwell. It's only the back of his head. He's right here on the left. That's Cedric Maxwell.
that might actually be
That's
him.
Cedric Maxwell right there.
Yeah.
wait a minute. Okay,
That's Cedric Maxwell.
Former Boston Celtic.
Wow, so this goes
MVP.
all the way to the top.
You are right that it looks like Cornbread Maxwell, but I believe that you're dangerously close to saying all that black people from the back look the same. You're dangerously close to racism there.
I don't
I'm
think
not.
so, Dan.
That's
Cornbread Maxwell.
That's Cornbread Maxwell.
Yeah.
That's right there.
Yeah,
It's the
it's
right
not-
height.
He has a point.
It's not
It's
racism.
the
That
right
is
height.
Cornbread
He's got the
Maxwell.
glasses.
We need to find out why he's
We don't know it's
there.
not.
But then let's roll the video, please, and I'll show you guys more. This is my favorite guy in the video. Man in the tuxedo on the right, as Killer Mike is being let out in cuffs. What's he do? Kiss
No.
sign.
Into a fist, into a power fist. He pivots midair to the power fist.
Look at that. Yep. Great video work there.
He's white.
Video, go
For
ahead
the
and put
audio
Very
what?
important.
Put Cornbread Maxwell up there. There you, now, can you please
Can you
find
get a picture of Cornbread Maxwell, but from the back?
from the back?
With
Yeah.
his glasses on.
Hey, yo.
I wanted to
You
talk.
just want a back shot of Cornbread Maxwell, okay? This is not that complicated.
Oh, there it is. You found it. Thanks.
I wanted to talk about last night's Heat game that I imagine Amin went to, but not to talk. You did not go to, okay, but not to talk about the Heat. The thing that I wanted to talk to Pablo and Amin about is, has everything the Clippers done worked? Because this is the best Clippers team I've ever seen.
Where did that come from? Because, they're famously the example of it never working.
Correct, but what I'm about to tell you is this is the best Clippers team I've ever seen. They are, in the years of Kawhi and Paul George, they're like 40-9 against the Lakers. They may not be the Lakers yet, but they are better than the Lakers. They don't have look, man, the laughing stock on them goes back 40 years. Everybody's been laughing at this franchise. And then they made a move that traded everything. There hasn't been a trade like that in the NBA. There has not been one like that. And because of that trade, Oklahoma City is now also good. They're going to have to go through Oklahoma City because of all they traded to get Paul George. And up to now, I would have said it hasn't worked. But you add James Harden. Now they're the best team in the NBA over the last 30 games. They're 25-5. Miami tried to drag that game into the muck last night. There are only 2 times this season the Clippers haven't scored 100 points. They lost both the games. Last night they barely get to 100 points and they win the game anyway. This team can win the championship. This team is as good as anybody. James Harden has rounded into shape.
I like how you did that.
You guys tell me I'm wrong.
That's the only way he gets into shape, by rounding into it.
Once upon a time, James Harden playing in Miami in the regular season was not a recipe for him being arguably the best player on the floor.
Yeah, but you can't change an entire narrative, especially about the Clippers. Yes, 40 years of failure, but also in the last 5 years, repeated failure where these moves haven't worked out. It's all about the playoffs with these guys.
Mike, agreed, but what I'm saying, I'm not saying yet that it has worked, although I can make the argument for it because they're no longer a laughingstock, and they have not been with all the load management stuff. They are light years ahead of where they used to be with it, which is just us laughing at them. But this is a legitimate championship contender, and I've never been able to say that about the Clippers. Not with Chris Paul, not with Blake Griffin. I've never thought that of the Clippers. That team I saw last night can win the championship.
I would say that the COVID-shortened season was that because they were healthy. And Paul George and Kawhi Leonard were amazing, and they were right there. And they had a 3-1 lead in the second round, ready for a date with the Lakers in the conference finals, which would have been a remarkable meeting, even though it would have been in a bubble. Still, as you pointed out, the Clippers have a tendency to play up to when they're playing the Lakers. They love to play the Lakers. They have this chip on their shoulder. I would have loved to have seen that series. It didn't happen because they blew it, and the Nuggets ended up winning that series. But I would argue, well, yes, this team is really good. They're great even.
It's the best Clippers team there's ever been.
I'm just saying that 1920 team was pretty damn good too.
Okay.
I mean, like they on paper, this
You're
team,
splitting hairs on me. They added James Harden and can now win the championship.
Yes, provided certain things happen.
That's for everybody. Yes, they can win the championship. It's not something I've ever said about the Clippers.
It's a bigger question to be asked when it comes to this team when they're never healthy.
Hold on, but then I'm going back to splitting hairs. Yes, you could have said that in 2019, 2020. Okay, absolutely a thing. Particularly before COVID.
I mean, then it's worked. Then it's worked. Then if I could have said that in 20, then this is the best incarnation of the Clippers that there has ever been.
You haven't even hit the All-Star break. Who are you to say it's worked?
Here's the thing. I think this highlights something incredibly nuanced in sports conversation, right? The idea that can you say it worked? Only when you win a championship?
When you stop the laughter. When you stop all of the laughter.
We haven't stopped the laughter.
Wait, guys, Amin is so close to saying trust the process. Yeah. I mean, you're so close. You're so close.
I haven't even started paying attention yet. That's true. I can't close the door on a narrative when the games don't matter. What matters about Paul George and James Harden and Kawhi Leonard is them all being healthy and doing it in the postseason. Yeah. You can't say it worked. We haven't even gotten to Indianapolis yet. They're still playing pro football. What are you talking about? Yeah. Worked.
The James Harden thing is the big question here. Like, that's what we're talking about. Dan very vociferously proclaimed they added James Harden and now they can win a championship, which, if you were to say that out loud before this recent run, would have gotten you roundly mocked. And I agree. James Harden, his demise, rumors of his demise were greatly exaggerated. But the question, to Mike's larger point, is postseason. That's what it
That's
always
what
comes
that's
down
when
to.
we that's when we laugh at them.
Yes, it is what you laugh at, and you laugh at 2 of the 3 guys that they've got, but you sure as shit don't laugh at one of them. The guy who leads that team, the quietest guy that leads that team, you do not laugh at him.
No, I can't laugh at him, but he also has an availability issue. Yeah. It's the 3 guys that have injury
but
issues.
he's never had this much help. He has never had, maybe in San Antonio,
No, he's never had this much help, but the people that he's depending on are Paul George, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, even though he's a bit more of a role player now. Historically, those guys you like depending on?
They get hurt too.
Okay, I mean, you can question them all you want, but over the last 30 games, they're better than anybody.
It is funny that this whole experiment, right? It's not just about this season. It's about
not an argument.
the Steve Ballmer era. Does it elicit groans when you talk about the way they went all in on these guys, left their future to invest in the present? Like this season, this postseason is going to decide whether Steve Ballmer is somebody that we should be mocking or somebody who is like the model of a guy who cares about going all in and cares about basketball.
Stugotz isn't here, and yet he's here in spirit. Win the championship in February.